Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the legend himself, the one and only Mel Brooks.
I heard you. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here. My age, it's a pleasure to be anywhere. Gene was an exceptional person. He was a very dear friend. He is the only actor that I ever met that waited in a scene with another actor, waited to understand the other actor and respond instead of waiting for that one word that's his cue and talk. Actor finished, I talk. Gene listened to the other actor. He was very humble and sweet and talented. Anyway, I have a letter that he wrote to Jerry Robbins. Jerome Robbins was, in the 40s, 50s, a very talented choreographer who became a wonderful director on Broadway. And he directed my wife, Anne Bancroft, in a beautiful play by Bertolt Brecht called Mutter Courage, Mother Courage. Beautiful play. And Anne was good. And Gene, that's how we met. Gene was in the play. So Anne said to me, there's this sweet guy who wants to meet with you. And I said, sure. So he said, I'm the chaplain, and sometimes I'm supposed to be funny, and sometimes I'm supposed to be touching and sad. Why are they always laughing at me? I said, look in a mirror. So anyway, I loved him right from the beginning. Here's a letter he wrote to Jerome Robbins, to Jerry Robbins, that I thought you'd like to hear. It's interesting. Dear Jerry, when we worked together, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. But I'm more grateful to you now than I ever could have conceived I would be. I'll tell you why. One, if you hadn't miscast me in Mother Courage, I wouldn't have met Anne Bancroft. Two, if I hadn't met Anne Bancroft, I wouldn't have met Mel Brooks. Three, if I hadn't met Mel Brooks, I would probably be a patient in some neuropsychiatric hospital today, looking through the bars of a physical therapy window and making wallets. Okay, but, he was very close to me. I think what you're going to see tonight, you won't forget. It's beautiful, and it tells the story of a very special human being who will, as far as I'm concerned, a talent that will be around forever. So thank you for coming, and nice to be.
Thank you all for coming. I normally come up here with a speech, but this film is so close to my heart that I'm just going to talk from the heart. So a little over a year ago, I got a phone call from Ron Frank, the director, who I've worked with before and shown several of his films. And he said, hey, we're working on a film. I don't know if you have any interest in it. It's about Gene Wilder. What do you think? Do you think that it's something you'd be interested in? And I said, when will it be finished? Yeah. And then he told me about the film, and he told me about his great team, and I'm going to introduce you in a minute. And I said, get it done for our festival, and it was the first time in 4 years since COVID that we had a festival. And we opened this film May 18th, 2023, to an audience of, 1,000 people at the Saban Theater. It was the world premiere. We had Julie Nimoy, our producer, who you'll meet in a minute. We had Karen Wilder, who's sitting here in the front, in the second row, who is Gene's wife, who you'll get to meet after the film. And we had Mel Brooks. And it was the most successful event we have ever had. In fact, it was so successful, we don't have a festival planned yet because we could never live up to it. Thank you, Julie. We will soon. The film really touched my heart, and I know it's going to touch your heart too. From the time we launched the film, it had such tremendous success. It went to every festival across the country and won top award at every festival it went to. In fact, it was so successful, it got a fantastic distributor, and here we are 10 months later, not a very long labor, and it's in the theaters, and it's been doing very well. So I want to congratulate you on such great success. And now I would like to introduce the producer, Julie Nimoy.
Hey. So hi everyone, I'm Julie Nimoy, executive producer, one of two, and thank you so much for being here tonight, or today actually. I just want to acknowledge a few people before we get started. One is Kino Lorber, our new distributor, who has believed in our film and has passion for it and has taken it to the next level, and it's all over the place, and we're so thrilled about that. And also, I'd like to thank our dear Karen Wilder, Jean's wife, who, without her, this film could not have been made. Glenn Kirschbaum, who's our writer and co-director, and the rest of our production team. Everyone, we worked together for the last 5 years, coming on 6, and we have such passion for this project and love for it. And we really hope that you all enjoy remembering Jean Wilder. Thank you so much for being here.
First of all, this is my 4th time seeing the film. And unlike Oppenheimer, I got it the first time around. You are the love of his life, hands down. You are Gene
Well, certainly
Wilder's.
the longest one.
Well, but for those of us who watch film, and I go back to silent era where I still think of Doug Fairbanks and Mary Pickford together, but that wasn't the love of their lives. We think of Gilda, of course, those of us who remember that, and it was sad, of course, but all the wonderful years and the wonderful things you did. And when he even said he's never been happier in his life, you really are the one. You are the love of his life. And the fact that you opened up your archives to show us all of this rare stuff. I mean, this is one of the most terrific documentaries on anyone you're likely to see.
I'm speechless, and I'm usually not speechless. Thank you so much for that. I want to thank you for coming, all of you for coming. It's still hard for me to watch the movie. I can't help but cry. And I've watched it many times, and it's been 6 years in coming because of COVID and different problems with it. But it has come to fruition, and it's so exciting. I feel high, and I'm not on drugs. And I wanted to make the movie to bring awareness to Alzheimer's disease, because I thought that's the only way I could use my husband's celebrity name to help the world, because he was a person that wanted to help the world. He was very charitable in all of the things he did. And I said, that's one thing I can do for the world. And I hope it works. It seems to have. And I'd also like to announce that with Alzheimer's disease, all of you will be affected. If you haven't already been, how many have you been? Okay. So you know it's a terrible, disgusting, despicable disease. And I was just in a meeting for Alzheimer's research in San Diego, and they're so much closer to finding a cure. When he was ill, there was no hope. Now there's hope, and there is a drug that slows the progress. And when Gene had it, the drug made him sleep. So we have good news, and there will eventually be a blood test that you can have taken by your doctor. They promise this is true. It's available now for research. So when you have your cholesterol checked and your, what else do you have? Your blood test for what other things? Anyway, you'll have it for your brain. So I'm really happy
I'm happy you said.
to announce this because I just found out and I could share it with you. So back to the movie because he was a wonderful man.
You met him in 1990.
1988.
You met him in 1988. So another question that I would have is, for me, growing up with Gene Wilder in my life, one of my favorite performers. Did you see Blazing Saddles in '73 and Young
Yes.
Frankenstein in '74?
Yes.
Years before you knew him.
Yes,
What
and
did you?
I loved Sherlock Holmes' Smarter Brother and The Woman in Red.
And so you were a fan.
I was a fan. I hadn't seen The Producers or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but I saw them soon after I met him.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Do you have a favorite Gene Wilder film?
You know, everybody asks me that, and it's very hard because I said I love The Woman in Red. That's sort of the one I remember because it was in the 70s, and I'd been married before. I was single. I'd been out with a lot of men. You know, they're
That's a documentary in itself. You know?
right. So, and then Sherlock Holmes' Smarter Brother, because when there was a problem, he and Marty Feldman and Madeline Kahn did hop. And I thought it just made me laugh and happy. And after I met Gene and found out that he was a person that could find something when you were in a dark mood or something unhappy was happening, could make everyone happy.
Speaking of happy, he basically adopted your family.
Oh, very much. Very
So
much.
did they consider him like a grandpa? And,
Oh, yes,
yeah.
the grandchildren call him Poppy.
Oh, that's so sweet. When you see his films with an audience, and you hear the laughter, and you
I love it, and I loved your laughter today. That's why I like to see it with an audience because then I can feel how you react to his acting, and it's always wonderful. And there's a person here today that saved his life, my mother's life, my father's life, my life, my nephew's life, and he's a guest right standing here. Do you want me to say your name, or do you want to?
Oh, I know who you're looking at. He's one of my favorite comedic actors as well.
No, he's not an actor. He's a doctor, and his wife and he are here with their daughter, and they've been friends for a very long time, and it's wonderful to share this movie with them. And I have a niece and nephew here that live north of Los Angeles, and they are here. And they've now seen the movie 3 times with me in Los Angeles, so they like the movie too.
And I understand your daughter is a doctor as well.
Yes.
But Allie, right? I listen. That's wonderful. Where do you think? I don't know if everyone understands. When Hillary and Ron got together to have this film premiere a year ago, it was like last April, and it was tremendous. It was unbelievable. And there were so many celebrities in the audience, but I don't know if they know that this film is now playing in over 200 theaters across the country.
I don't know. And I want to thank Hillary because she made today happen.
Yes.
And I want to thank Ron Frank and Glenn Kirschbaum because they really did a wonderful job of weaving the story to go with the book that Gene wrote so it would match his words. And they did an extraordinary job. And they also listened to me when there were some things I didn't like. And I like that. And Julie Nimoy and David Knight, who produced it. And if you read, it was made by funds from, I can't remember all of the names, but they are pharmaceutical companies. And so it wasn't, no one had to pay attention what the studio executive said. It was all choices made by us. So that's a good thing to say.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that everybody loves the movie and the reviews are amazing.
Making this all happen. Thank you, everyone.
Have a wonderful evening.
What would you hope that this documentary does more than anything else? I think I know the answer. I think we all know the answer, but what do you want what do you want people to leave the theater?
I think I would like to have you leave the theater remembering the joy that Gene brought to people, because everyone told him that whenever we met people on the street, and that was a lot. Whenever we go to a book signing, the people that came to the book signings were every age, from 6 months or usually 6 months to 97. They were all ethnic groups, all religions, and they all came and said that he brought them joy. So I'd like to have people remember that.
I think you have succeeded. Yes, question.
I also love the watercolors that he did. It looked so beautiful.
They are beautiful.
Will they ever be exhibited at all or not?
They were at the American Museum of American Artists in New Britain, Connecticut, and one of his paintings that you saw on the screen is in that museum. The others are hanging in my home. I don't know, we're trying to figure out how we could make them seen. I don't know maybe you could help me figure that out. I don't know.
That'd be wonderful.
We're going to take one more question right here.
Obviously, my hero. Such a humble man. Would he be honored, or would he be like shy about? Like, what would he think of the film?
He says, what would Gene think of this film?
Well, that's a good question. I would hope he loved it, but I don't know, he was shy.
I want to thank you for being here. It made it very special to have you here. And thank you, Hillary, for making this all happen. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.